Hey you all, welcome to part 3 of the healing process. I'm really happy of the shift consciousness healing that we started just a little over a week ago. I think it was Wednesday. Not the week that went, the week that just went, but the week before that. So I don't know the dates, but it's been about 10-12 days. The healing process is complete. If this is not making sense to you, just try to stay here and follow it. But if you listen to part 1 and part 2, it's going to make more sense to you. I'm Rima Desai from the Guiding Star. We're talking about specifically this is for the people who, and those of you again in my inner circle right now who are in close proximity with me, you will understand this really well. This is I'm talking about the Shiv consciousness clearing, healing that I gave, clearing in other words, to mass number of people, right? Millions and millions of people. And it's the rising of this Shiv consciousness. It's the reason why this came about, and it was just so prompt for me, so prompt. It was impromptu. It's like when you're in a meditative state constantly, you're not like, I no longer sit to meditate. It's been years since I do that. Just constantly in meditation while I'm living my life. And at specific moments, I'm in very, very deep connection at a different level with the universe. So that's when messages come, right? And so it was just literally like impromptu. I have to do this right now. I left everything in my schedule and I sat and got into deep meditation at that time, created the energetic field and gave healing. Now, those of you who were involved in it and asked for something specific, we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about what do I mean by Shiv consciousness has risen or is rising, and then how to understand your healing. It's a short video. It's a super short video. Part 3. Okay, wrapping it up. So please listen to part 1 and part 2, and then this will make more sense after that. So by now, everything's evened out. You're back to normal life. And by now, I mean by Friday. The cutoff was Friday in the human world, in terms of human timelines. There's no timelines in spirit. Like, there's no timeline, There's no concept of time. But we need the concept of time to function on 3D. So in that sense, it was 10 days, 8, 9, 10, exactly 10 days. And that's interesting. Now that I say it, I realize number 10 standing for the sign of Capricorn. Saturn right now is retrograde, going back towards the sign of Capricorn. It's not going to go into Capricorn, but towards. And when Saturn was in Capricorn in its own sign, from 2020 to 2023, that's when we had the entire pandemic. And that's fully Shiv. Shiv is fully Shanidev. And in part 1, I explained some of the backdrop to that, so please go listen to it, the whole video. But we're going back to the Capricorn energy and reactivating, or finishing up rather, the tail end of the snake, in other words, what was left. Now, depending on how hard you worked, because 100% for each one of you, 1,000%, for each one of you during that pandemic, there were specific issues that came up relating to your life, whether it was your marriage issues or your health or your confidence or work. Those issues came up and it begged you and required you to really put your 1,000% in at that time, because it's like when the field is ripe, you harvest, right? You sow seeds, you plow at the time when it's going by the seasons, right? When it's season, you sow the seeds. When it's the right season, you plow, however you say it. When it's the right season, you harvest. So if you are moving with the right motions and putting in exactly the efforts when they need to be put in, you'll get the result. You'll get the crop. It'll be beautiful. If you didn't do that, too bad for you. It's your problem that you didn't do it. You didn't utilize it. So now you're going to have to pay the big price of it, 100%. This year is your final turn, but you will not get as much of a chance as you did in the last 3 years to really finish off your karam, your duty, your dharam that, in your life that you've come for towards the issue that were coming up in the sign of Capricorn in your chart. And you've got to finish that now. So it's like the end of the pandemic is going to happen now, right? But as that happens, Shivji went through so much transformation, like massive, with a full when Shiv's Tandav destroys the world, it brings him into ashes too. It's not just the world. He is carrying the energy of all of his consciousness, everybody who follows him, in him. So all of that had to die into ashes and to rebuild like the phoenix bird. And that's what's going to happen now in this year until December, sort of till January, a little bit till February. But so that consciousness is rising, and all of you who are part of Shiv internally, 100% found that healing. You found it, right? You told me now after a week, 10 days, you told me, some of you were like, I've changed as a person in a week. I'm so different in just a week. Like things that I wanted to for years give up, I was just able to in a week, right? Initially it started as feeling horrible, like really having to be totally down emotionally or physically. But that process of healing, it's like you have to be able to shut the door, right, of your house. If there's a storm outside or even inside, you have to be able to settle that energy. You have to be able to stop for everything else to work in the background for your healing to happen. And for that energy to shift and change. If we are constantly active, so for example, I have a very funny example to give you, but I'm thinking of what other example, like to sleep. You cannot sleep while moving. You just can't. Your body cannot rest. You can't be using your phone and charging it if it's completely down in its battery. You have to leave it aside. So after very deep healing, a sign of good healing is that you feel like you really need to rest. You feel exhausted. You feel tired. That's very, very deep healing. Provided that you come out of it, right? It improves. Now, unfortunately, some people who don't understand healing properly, and that's it, I'm going to end with this, is that, 1 minute, is that you're telling me that I'm waiting for things outside my life to change. That's not healing. Healing, though even the word healing has the word in it. Heal in. You're healing within. If you truly want to heal, healing is not about just magically shifting things in. Why do things shift in the outside? Because you change so drastically within. That's the only reason healing works so magically. You have shifted. Your soul has shifted. Your mind has shifted. Something within you has changed. Then automatically what you're attracting outside or the combinations of your shine is changed, whether you can see it or not, that everything with outside of you shifts. Your perspective shifts. You start looking for different things. You start accepting opportunities that you didn't before. You're less fearful. So it bothers me when people, come to me like, oh, now I'm waiting for things to change outside, my job to get better, for health to get better. No, that's not the purpose of the healing. And that's not why I want to give you healing. I want you to learn to change from within. I want you to have that mindset. So at this point, you want to just observe, even within the year that I said, in the year that you're going to find shift, in that year, it's not like just the whole outside world is just going to change. You're going to shift. And that's why your life is going to shift. So I think, I don't know if I made sense. Maybe my video was rushed. I might make another one instead. But this is Rima Desai from the Guiding Stars. Really annoyed when I hear people tell me, really, really annoyed, when they don't get the concept of healing and like they just want things outside to change and they're not willing to, plow or sow the seeds or work hard or, even a farmer, you can't just stand on a field and just put seeds on the grass and just wait there and say, when is the crop going to grow? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous attitude. I'm sorry to say, I don't like it at all. It's like, you can't just stand there hoping. And too bad, sometimes you have to work extremely hard and the rains will come and ruin all your crops and you've got to try again. That's life. That's a part of life. There are times when no matter how hard you worked, it didn't quite, you didn't quite get the results. But you've got to be willing to give that part. And what you're shifting is that resistance to change or the fear to change. But that's what we're changing with your healing. So I hope you understand that things are addressed now. There's going to be massive shifts in the upcoming months, maybe in the backdrop for you. I don't know. It depends on how intuitive you are to notice the change in you and your life. But yeah, we're moving towards a shift in Shivji's energy. And if you were not connected to Shivji, even though you thought you were, that's when you didn't get any impact of the healing. It's like you're not connected. You're not part of that soul family. I'm sorry if that sounds bad, but that's how, I understand it and I know it. And there's no other way that I can see it. Bye.